Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. So in today's video, we're going to be going over the recent updates in the debt ceiling talks in regards to raising the debt ceiling and why this could potentially spell disaster for the future of Social Security and the benefits going out. Also, we'll be going over what is the most likely future solution as far as Social Security and its solvency goes. Now, before I get into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm. And also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull up an article here by Axios. So they're saying that the Freedom Caucus is drawing battle lines on the debt ceiling, so they're releasing their demands, what they say needs to happen in order for them to come to an agreement to raise the debt ceiling. So they're saying the details. In a statement released on Friday, the caucus listed the conditions for its members to consider voting to raise the debt ceiling. So their first condition is to end the Biden administration's $400 billion student loan forgiveness program. Now, right now, that is being debated on in the Supreme Court. For each person with student loans, they could potentially receive forgiveness of up to $20,000. This has been something that's been highly debated over the last few months. Whether or not the Supreme Court strikes it down, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, in addition to that, they're also saying that we should be rescinding unspent COVID relief funds. They also want to claw back funding for the IRS in climate change prevention in the Inflation Reduction Act. They're also saying that we should institute greater work requirements on certain welfare programs, requiring congressional sign-off on all major federal regulations before they can go into effect, and also to find every dollar spent by Democrats that can be reclaimed for the American taxpayer. So those are their conditions. And they're saying that all these things need to be met in order for us to agree to raise the debt ceiling. Now, this is why it's very important. This is why it matters. With Republicans holding a 5-seat House majority and a new rule giving any member the power to trigger a motion to remove the House Speaker, these hardliners have considerable leverage to influence the budget process. Their votes on the debt ceiling could mean the difference between the U.S. continuing to be able to borrow money to pay off its debts and a potentially catastrophic default. So, if they don't get everything they want here, there is enough members of the House Freedom Caucus. There's enough members in there. If they were all to vote no, they would not be able to vote to raise the debt ceiling in the House. They might be able to do it in the Senate, but if they're not able to also do it in the House, that could mean that we could default on our debts. And this is why it all sort of ties in with Social Security, because this is a very, very big issue. Because according to MarketWatch, the government may stop issuing Social Security payments after the debt limit is hit. Here's why. They say there's a very real possibility the government will stop issuing Social Security payments after the debt limit is hit. Scary as that prospect is, however, the alternative might be even worse. A little-known provision of a 1996 law could be interpreted to allow the Social Security Trust Fund to be used not only to pay Social Security's monthly checks, but also to circumvent the debt limit and pay all of the government's otherwise overdue bills. If that happens, any short-term relief to Social Security recipients would come with a potentially huge long-term price tag. The Social Security Trust Fund could be exhausted much sooner than currently projected, in just a couple of years, in fact. So they're saying here that we might be using the trust fund to pay off other debts that we have, basically stealing from the trust fund, which would speed up the process in which the trust fund is depleted. Now, right now, the trust fund is expected to be depleted, where we might have to cut benefits by 25% in around the years of 2032 or 2033. But if this thing were to happen, it's possible that the trust fund could actually be depleted by, let's say, like 2025. This would obviously be a very big problem. They go on to say, if and when the debt limit is hit, therefore, the only way in practice for Social Security checks to continue being issued and cleared through the banking system would be for the Social Security Trust Fund to lend the Treasury sufficient funds that it could pay all of the government's unmet obligations. Therefore, if the debt limit is hit, which it is projected to do perhaps as early as June, Congress and the president will be on the horns of a huge dilemma. Do they allow Social Security checks to continue getting paid, risking the political fallout of being accused of raiding the Social Security Trust Fund? Or do they stop issuing Social Security payments, risking the political fallout of not issuing Social Security payments on whom the very livelihoods of many elderly currently depend. Now, on the contrary, Jason Fitner, a chief economist at the Bipartisan Policy Center, is saying that the Treasury Department may be able to prioritize some payments, such as those going to Social Security recipients. However, the Social Security Administration may actually delay some of these payments just to ensure that it has enough cash on hand. He said, quote, Social Security, I'm sure, will get paid. Interest on the debt will get paid. After that, flip a coin, who gets paid. So this is obviously very concerning. We cannot, under any circumstances, have these payments be delayed, and much less we cannot afford them to just stop going out, because the fact of the matter is there are right now around 70 million Americans receiving Social Security benefits, and a lot of these people are relying completely on these payments. They don't have any other source of income coming in, and if they do have some other source of income, it certainly is not going to be enough to continue paying the bills. It's not going to be enough for them to pay their rent, their mortgage, property tax, groceries, electricity, utilities, any other bills that they have. It's just not going to be enough without receiving their Social Security check. So if these were to stop going out or even be delayed, this would obviously create a huge economic problem. I mean, we would definitely see a huge economic fallout if something like that were to happen. Now, I think this might actually be a pretty good time to mention that once again, the US government has sent over $100 billion to Ukraine over the past year or so. This money has sure gone towards the war, but also to help pay for the citizens of Ukraine and their pensions and sort of take care of the Ukraine people. So I think it's sort of interesting that we're taking care of citizens in other countries, but if something like this were to happen, perhaps we may not be able to take care of our own. I'm not saying that I'm totally against, helping people in other countries, but I'm just saying maybe this is an unpopular opinion. You'll have to let me know down in the comment section below, but I think at least we should be taking care of our own people here at home within our borders in the United States before we were sending any more money abroad. But you'll have to let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. And also another thing that I find very interesting is that we have many lawmakers saying that we need to be cutting Social Security benefits because for some reason they're saying that it's cutting into the federal budget. However, I think that Ronald Reagan really said it best back in 1984 when talking about Social Security benefits and the possibility of them being cut. Let's roll the clip.
Well, Social Security, let's lay it to rest once and for all. I told you never would I do such a thing. But I tell you also now, Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. Social Security is totally funded by the payroll tax levied on employer and employee. If you reduce the outgo of Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce a deficit. It would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So Social Security has nothing to do with balancing a budget or erasing or lowering the deficit.
And he's exactly right. I mean, perhaps if we had more common sense lawmakers in Washington today, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Now, if lawmakers can avoid this whole disaster by raising the debt ceiling, according to the Congressional Budget Office, they do have from anywhere between July through September of doing so. We still have another impending disaster within the next, let's say, 8 to 10 years, where right now they are saying that the trust fund will be depleted by right around 2032. And if that were to happen, benefits would not be cut off completely where you wouldn't receive anything at all, but benefits would be cut by right around 25%. So whatever you're receiving in 2032, you'll receive a cut by 25%. And obviously this would be very concerning as well. And while a few different plans have been offered up in Congress, for example, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are saying that we need to be raising benefits by $200 per month. And to do that, we can lift the cap on payroll taxes, where people earning above $250,000 per year would be paying into the payroll tax system as far as Social Security goes. Currently, that is not a bipartisan plan. It's pretty much only Democrats in support of that plan. Then we have other plans by Republicans of raising the full retirement age. That is also not a bipartisan plan. We don't have any Democrats saying that, yes, we need to raise the full retirement age. However, right now there is some sort of a bipartisan plan going on behind closed doors. It's being kept pretty secret. There have been some leaks going out, and those leaks were reported by Semaphore. But right now we have a plan going on by Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican in Louisiana, And then we have Angus, who is an independent, but he's caucusing with the Democrats. So their plan is, first off, they're going to have this sovereign wealth fund. And in addition to the sovereign wealth fund, they're also looking at raising the full retirement age up to 70 for younger groups. Now, with the sovereign wealth fund, what they're going to be doing is putting around $1.5 trillion in that, and they're going to be looking for 8% returns on that money. If they're able to get 8% returns, they might be able to actually increase benefits for people on Social Security. So that would be very good. If they're able to get those 8% returns, we could actually increase benefits. I'm not sure if they'll be able to increase benefits by $200 per month, like in Bernie Sanders' proposal, but they should be able to raise benefits by at least a certain amount. Now, if they don't receive the 8% return in the sovereign wealth fund, they say that they're going to do a couple of different things. The first thing they're going to do is to lift the income cap in which you pay Social Security taxes on. So right now you only pay the Social Security payroll tax on the first $160,200 that you earn. If they don't achieve the 8% return, they're going to lift that completely, so you'll pay the payroll tax on all income. And in addition to that, they're also saying that they're going to lift the amount of taxes that you're paying in. So right now, if you're an employee, you pay 6.2%. If you're self-employed, you pay the entire 12.4%. They're saying they're going to lift that. So we might see that lifted up to 7.2% and 14.4%. So they will be able to collect more money. So that's their plan. Whenever they release the full details, we'll have to see how many other Republicans and Democrats get on board, because it will need to be bipartisan to at least get the majority in the House and then get at least 60 votes in the Senate. So let me know down in the comments section below what your thoughts are on all this. Are you concerned that they might not be able to raise the debt ceiling and therefore you may not have your benefits going out, or you might have your benefits delayed? Is that something that's on your mind right now? Do you have any sort of plan in place if your benefits were to stop going out? I mean, I don't think this is something that's really necessarily going to happen. They usually push this deadline to the very last second and then they end up getting something done. But I do think that planning, and especially planning early, is really the best thing that you can do, just in case the worst case scenario does end up happening. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.